from the local station. This is Weather Authority Weekday.
It's a sun up Thursday. Hey everyone, I'm meteorologist Mark Collins. We're waking up to some pretty decent conditions here this morning, but we're setting up for more afternoon thunderstorms. Coming up in today's Weather Authority Weekday, we're going to be covering the heavy rains, which will make a better pass back towards the coast. We're also going to take a look at the strongest, earliest Pacific hurricane to hit land, and also take a look at a lightning strike that unfortunately hit a hiker, resulting in one of the largest or highest alpine rescues in Colorado's history. But first, let's show you the beautiful views outside. We are looking pretty good out there with relatively cloud-free conditions right now. You don't see any real cloud cover over the beaches with the nice shoreline and small waves out there, making for some ideal swimming conditions, low rip current risks. And here you can see on the satellite, taking you all the way back to just about 4 o'clock this morning, there were some clouds around west central Florida. A lot of that were the upper level debris clouds from storms that targeted that area yesterday. Those have withered away, and so abundant sunshine is here over North Florida. But you can see back there along the Big Bend some showers, and that is a note for you to write down. When you see showers there around the Nature Coast, that typically means that during the morning hours, that rain will be moving into the I-75 corridor and then eventually wind up in our doorsteps during the afternoon. And that's how it's going to play out. So you can always look at the clouds. If you're ever up like driving over, say like the Buckman Bridge, driving over to Orange Park in the morning, and if you see those very high cloud tops in the sky, chances are those are thunderstorms that you could see all the way out in the Gulf of Mexico when they reach that high. And that's usually an indication that some of that will be building back with the southwesterly steering flow that we're in to our area during the afternoon. But Jolington Creek looks pleasant. Boats are looking pretty calm out there as they sit at the dock, but watch out, lightning's coming in later today, and for the evening hours it will be a little risky on the rivers. Taking you through the morning hours here with steamy 80s and not much breeze, and then as we head through the afternoon, highs top out at 90 degrees. We'll see a pretty good 12 to 15 degree difference between land temperatures and ocean. That's going to drive in that sea breeze very swiftly and generate some thunderstorms. Best time 4 to 9 o'clock today. I think storms are going to start to build towards the coast, and they're going to originate in our southern areas. So earlier in the afternoon, we're looking at you around Palatka up into Green Cove Springs, possibly around the Middleburg area, seeing some action. And then as we head towards the early evening, like say around 5 o'clock, thunderstorms here in our backyard around Duval County, and then working up into Georgia. And some of those will stick around after sundown. In fact, you could see this particular forecast model doesn't really bring much rain in here by 3 o'clock. Maybe a brief sun shower, but by 4 and 5, things will start to flare up, especially around Green Cove Springs through Palatka and into Flagler County, and watch how that makes an impact into Duval as we head through the early evening, and then things start to wind up around 9 o'clock as the weather fades away. We'll lose that heating. We'll be seeing some of our own debris clouds here for the evening hours, but then a pretty good sunrise for tomorrow. So rain chances today will actually be higher than yesterday. I think more of you will experience some of those downpours, and some of that will actually reach the coastal areas. Right now, the beach is at 82 degrees and only a few degrees warmer in Jacksonville at 84, but already hotter at 86 over the inland zones. And today we'll see a pretty equal distribution of those lower to mid 90s from coast to inland areas. We are going to be seeing a little bit of a drop-off in the rain, but that's not going to be until Sunday and Monday of next week. So today, we're actually seeing higher opportunities for rain. So rain chances jump to around 60% for most of us, and there'll be a little less opportunity for the mechanics to drive rain around Waycross and Brunswick, but you'll see that action. This is the lightning potential here in yellow. So as we head into the afternoon and evening, watch out for some of that lightning. And then notice here late tonight, with a front dropping down and decaying across central Georgia, there's the chance there could be some thunderstorms around and north of Waycross as they weaken and drop towards the south. So I don't think we'll see any of that here tonight, but again, on Friday, more thunderstorms to develop in the afternoon. The good news is this weekend, if you're going to some of the area pools and beaches, the risk for lightning is going to be pretty low. But if you're going out to some of the rivers like the Swanee River, there'll be a better chance for lightning there, out towards Camp Blanding as well for Saturday and Sunday. We will see less rain overall, but the tendency will be for inland storms this weekend. So notice here, this is the rainfall forecast showing some pretty heavy totals this afternoon. So you can see some slow moving storms putting out up to an inch of rain around Clay County, possibly up to a ½ inch of rain in some of the areas around that, with lesser amounts in coastal areas of St. Johns and Flagler counties. So slow movers, heavy rainfall today, and then more rounds coming in on Friday. So all in all, some of us will see as much as 1 to 2 inches of rain as we head towards the end of the work week, possibly into Saturday as well. Saturday is going to be your transition day as we drop off our rain chances into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, below normal activity for this time of year. So looking at the bigger picture, we're looking at the rain this afternoon. There's that front that I mentioned dropping down into Georgia as we head into the evening. So there will be some more squally weather across Atlanta into Macon, and I doubt that that's going to hold through as that front weekends around this evening. Friday, front is still in the vicinity, and that's why there can be some showers along it, but most of that moisture is going to be south of us. So if you get north of that front, anywhere across the Carolina Piedmont in through northern Georgia, conditions look pretty good this weekend. They're going to be on the dry side of that front, and it should be dry up the eastern seaboard as well this weekend. But overall, we'll see dwindling rain chances into Sunday. In fact, probably very little to none for the second half of your weekend. And even better news, the tropics are looking pretty quiet. We're going to be looking out towards the eastern Pacific after a commercial break to show you what's happened with Erick. There's that hurricane spinning away. I'll show you the track on that, talk more on that hurricane. But for now, we'll bring it to the home front where we're looking at elevated rain chances Thursday, Friday, and then taking you into a slowdown for that rain. So we'll get back to drier conditions and still keep those temperatures in the 90s into next week. Stay with us. We'll have much more coming up right after this. Hey everyone, I'm meteorologist Mark Collins. Hurricane Erick made landfall early this morning before the sun came up. It's not here in the Gulf. It's not in the Atlantic Basin, but in the Pacific. And this was the strongest East Pac hurricane to make landfall so early in the season. It came ashore as a Cat 3, but just before it made a landfall, it was a Cat 4. And when you have all that inertia with the storm, storms that are strong just before making landfall, even though the winds drop off, it's still carrying a lot of that energy forward. And so there's been some really bad pictures coming out. The winds right now, 125 mile per hour winds. This made landfall around 3 a.m., just about 60 miles southwest of Acapulco, and it will continue to move over some of the rugged terrain and weather down to a depression on Friday. Flash flooding is a possibility with this system in some of the arid areas as Erick continues to spin down. And here's some video of the cloud tops on this thing. Now, usually when there's an eye, that shows a really strong storm. There you see the eye forming, and then it became a little bit obscured here overnight, which indicated that it did weaken just before landfall. But nonetheless, the Category 3 is a major hurricane, one that causes significant damage. This is a C-130 that flew out to gather data. The Air Force were doing hurricane missions within that plane and collecting drops on data, and that is very critical for monitoring these type of systems. But a lot of folks in Mexico might not be able to get those messages, so hopefully the word was out that a hurricane was coming that way. And if you are going to Acapulco here by the end of the week, be mindful that there's going to be some disruptions in that area and certainly wet conditions. So that's what was happening at the sea level. Now let's go to the mountains, 14,267 feet up. People were trying to make the climb to the very top of a mountain called Torres Peak. This is a mountain that's about 45 miles west of Denver, and they never got to the peak. In fact, they got lost. And as these two climbers were trying to find their way to the trail down, they actually got on the phone to call emergency services, where they were successful in guiding them back to the trail. The problem is when one of the person was on the phone, the hiker was struck by lightning. He was knocked unconscious. Imagine you and your buddy on a trail in heavy weather, thunderstorm. then they drop to the ground and not able to speak. Well, the operators on the phone sent out a helicopter, and a research team came up from the valley. Both came together. They got both of those party members, airlifted them out on the helicopter, and the person that was knocked unconscious actually did survive the lightning strike. Pretty crazy, especially when you imagine you're dealing with air that is much, much thinner up there. The density is 60% less than what you would breathing down at the sea level. So when you're up there and you're trying to catch your breath and do all that evacuation like the rescuers were doing, they were doing that with half the lung capacity, almost half the lung capacity as a rescue down at the sea surface. So I love hiking. I just got through a pretty long trip myself, but I tell you what, it's a good thing to know the weather before you head outdoors. Glad that that story turned out all right. All right, so we're wrapping it up here for today. Tomorrow is a Friday. That's a good thing, right? We'll be back same time, same place on Weather Authority Weekday.
See why every day more people are choosing News 4 Jax, Northeast Florida and South Georgia's #1 source for local news.